and authority building, which is what I was doing through SEO, establish themselves locally as their authority.
Welcome back to The Authority Matters. I'm Evan Mack. This is a monthly series from the Legal Podcast Network where we break down how authority is built online through media, distribution, and personal branding. And today we're talking about something most professionals think they understand, but usually get completely wrong, and that's differentiation. Because when people think of that word, they think of, okay, I need a niche, I need better branding, maybe I need something unique like a style, maybe a gimmick, but that's not actually what makes someone stand out or even get chosen. Today I'm here with my man Dennis DM Meador, founder of the Legal Podcast Network, also known as Bam Man. And in this episode, we're breaking down what differentiation actually is, why most professionals avoid it, and how to figure out yours. All right, it's time to Bam. Let's break it all down. DM, how you doing, brother?
Good. It's a beautiful day. And, I'm in the studio with my buddy Evan, so let's make some magic happen, my friend.
Let's make that magic happen. So let's start with that biggest misconception, DM. When most people hear differentiation, they think niching down, branding, or something, visually different. But what do most people get wrong about differentiation?
I think that it's exactly what you said. They think differentiation is finding a gimmick. And, everybody that comes gets to be in a drawing for a car once a year, or, like some sort of promotion that they do. I've seen people who literally tried to make their point of differentiation the color that they wear or the color hat that they have, well, I'm the lady who always wears pink, or I'm the guy in the big blue hat. And it's like, guys, that doesn't set you apart from people. That just makes you different than other people in the way you dress. It doesn't speak to the actual deliverable. And I think that that's the thing that I wanted to get across more than anything. Differentiation should speak to the actual deliverable. It shouldn't be some sort of contest, gimmick, or whatever.
Good stuff. So if someone had to understand differentiation through one question, is really just this: why would someone pick you over 5 other options? And when people can't answer that clearly, what does that actually mean, DM?
That means now they're at the point where they're being commoditized, because you're either different or you're a commodity. And What do we do with commodities? We trade them based on price. Right. There is a market. And so when a professional allows what they do, who they are, and or their business to be just another one of, 5, 7, 25, when everything else is equal, the only difference will be the price. That's when you start racing to the bottom. That's when you start actually putting yourself in a position where people are calling you, and the first question they ask, and listen, I've talked to a lot of professionals for decades now, and especially the last 2, I've heard a lot of professionals and attorneys especially say something like, yeah, I just hate it. I answer my phone, I've got a lead, I did PPC, did whatever, and they don't ask me, how do I handle this case, or how would I handle whatever? They ask me, how much is it? And so that is the big problem with not having points or a big point of differentiation. It's very simply that you are commoditized, and now you're just competing on price.
You just touched on it, but I just heard you give the example of like the red hat guy. Why is that the wrong way to think about differentiation? What happens when someone builds their brand around surface level stuff like that instead of that substance?
Well, again, it gets you noticed, but it doesn't make you different. And so there's no real differentiation there. And so someone might come to you, and they might make sure you're one of the 10 that they talk to, but they have no reason to respect the work that you do above the other 9. So just making sure that you're one of the 10 or one of the 5 or one of the 3 because you're doing something gimmicky does not put you in a position to now start charging better, cultivating better clients. That's the biggest problem.
So DM, most professionals don't stand out. They blend in. Can you break down why is that? And is blending in the safest strategy, or is there some risk involved with that as well?
Well, it used to be for attorneys, blending in it's like, if you're a giant among giants, then it's okay. But as commoditization and things have happened to the industry, and, we used to, as I've talked about many times, we used to revere the legal industry. It used to be, you told your kid, grow up, I want you to be a doctor or a lawyer, right? Now, 80-something% of middle schoolers want to be an influencer when they grow up. So the cachet of what they've done and the cachet of who they are is not going to be enough. So blending in when you are in an industry that is revered, that's fine. But when you blend into an industry that is commoditized, again, what ends up happening is it's just really a race to the bottom at that point. Who in the marketplace is willing to go so low that, you know, if everybody in the marketplace is at $500 an hour plus, okay, we're good. But when somebody comes in and goes, you know what? I could do this for $250 and still make good profit, still make good money. Now, because everybody else just appears the same, this person appears the same. The only difference is, so you're very vulnerable to losing the opportunity to win business because, again, somebody can just come in and undercut your price. And again, I've heard that for 10, 15 years at least, where attorneys are like, you know, for 25 years, I've been in and out of these criminal courts, and I've helped all these dozens of people. I know all this stuff. And now I see these younger attorneys coming in, and, you know, they got this is what they would say in years past, they've got their fancy websites and things like that. They're charging half of what I charge because it's just them and an administrator in their company. So like, there's just something's not right here. Like I built all this authority, and it's like, no, you didn't build authority. You allowed yourself to be one of many, right. And then when another one of many came in and lowered the bar, the only thing you can do is lower the bar to match up with them, and that's what's happened. I mean, I've talked to attorneys I've heard this probably if not 100 times at least in the last 5 years. I'd say something like, "Oh, so you're a divorce lawyer in Atlanta, Georgia, and you focus on, high net worth individuals. So you're charging what, $500-$600 an hour?" And usually that was like a pretty conservative number. And all of a sudden I started hearing, about 10 years into the internet, I started hearing things like, man, I wish, used to be, but now because of the marketplace, we're down to $425 or $375. And so that's what happens.
When someone does choose you, what are they actually responding to? Is it things like responsiveness, trust, clarity, consistency? And if that's all true, none of that is flashy. So why do those things matter so much?
I mean, it's all about the client experience. We are now in people are used to tailored, custom options for them, especially if they're spending any amount of money. I kind of have this funny story. My family comes from a place of not a ton of money, right? And so I remember when, was it in my late 20s, early 30s, and my sister's a couple of years younger than me, she had saved up to buy a couch. And she went into the biggest, flashiest furniture store, and she picked out this couch. And I remember her saying to me, because the sales associate wasn't being super responsive for them to, get it and blah, 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 whatever was happening. And she said, "I'm going to drop $2,000 in here." And I thought, first of all, there's probably people that come in and drop $200,000 on furniture at a time. But that is the experience we expect. We walk into McDonald's and we expect for them to, the person behind the counter to have a smile. We expect to, if I say no onion, it to be no onion. And so we are conditioned for that. And so when we do those things, the client experience is extremely important. But to me, that's just the baseline for differentiation. It's like doing it right shouldn't be your point of differentiation. Doing it right should be where you start and where you build from.
What's the lowest hanging fruit when it comes to differentiation? When can someone do, this week immediately to stand out? Why are things like answering your phone, following up, treating people well, actually differentiators now?
Because it's not being done well. I mean, that's the reality. I'm not just a helper of the legal field. I'm also a client of the legal field in different things over the last years. And, I've had situations where I was waiting on phone calls that, in my opinion, my life or certain things were in the balance. And then this person was just and then I would, text them the next day and then the next day, and then they get a hold of me 3 days. "Oh yeah, sorry, I just got real busy." Yeah. And it's couldn't even give me a text back. I mean, here I am thinking this is going to happen, or I'm going to lose out on this, or whatever it is. So the first thing that they can do is that baseline, answering your phone, having conversations, keeping your clients in the loop, making sure they understand what's ahead, making sure they understand timelines, just very clear intake sort of things that you should be relentless about. But the question of the lowest hanging fruit to me, and you mentioned this earlier, kind of in a different way that I'm going to present it, and that is the lowest hanging fruit is to identify a place in the market that's being underserved and niche down to that place. So, if you're seeing that, I don't know, let's say that you are a business attorney in a major metro, we'll just pick one, the Twin Cities, Minneapolis, St. Paul. Right. And you can see that just because it's a Midwestern city, they're really designed as businesses to help like blue collar and to help, that sort of thing, businesses and manufacturing and things like that. But there's a growing tech sector. There's a growing AI sector. There's a little, and it seems like every major metro has a little Silicon Valley anymore, right? It's what they say. And so if no one is purposefully focused on that industry, that micro industry within your market, you can literally go to them and say, no, I focus on tech in Minneapolis, St. Paul. This is, I've been doing this for a while. I have a number of people that I've served. Now, maybe you've served them in combination with others, but you can pull out certain parts of your experience and then go and serve. That's the lowest hanging fruit, is to figure out an underserved market in your market and then position yourself towards that market. And very quickly, now you're going to generate opportunities.
Let's talk about the points of differentiation, PODs or, or pods, so to speak. What are they, and how should someone actually start identifying theirs, DM?
So I've been thinking about this like relentlessly. Like, yes, I could go to like ChatGPT or Claude or whatever and have them tell me. But like, to me, I like to just read a lot and absorb a lot and really kind of think. And to me, I think the points of differentiation come in three categories: how you serve. Okay, so number one is how you serve. The second one is the way you serve them. And then number three is who specifically you serve. So, for example, how I serve you, and that is more in the beginning of making sure that I arm you. Like, think about this. What if you went to an attorney and they went, okay, this is how I handle things. This is how things go with situations like yours, blah, 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 blah. This is how much I cost. And, just to save you a little bit of time, these are 5 other of my competitors in the marketplace that do exactly what I do. I'd say they have baseline experience like I do. So feel free to check them out. But let me go back. And then that's something you could do immediately. And some people would say, well, why would you do that? Why would you give your competitors to a potential client? They have Google. They already have that list. So it's something that you can do in the beginning where they're like, well, remember that one attorney? He was so confident. She was so sure that she would do a good job that she actually handed me the other top, 5 of the top 10 firms that handle what I need. And so just the way that you initially work with people, you position yourself in the marketplace, there's a lot of opportunity there to set yourself apart. And then in the way you serve them, like I said, as you're working with clients, clarity is something that is, especially when you talk about professional services, legal, buying a house, my insurance issues, all of these different professional issues. One of the things that we lack more than anything is clarity. What's next? Why is this going on this way? What happens next? And so if you can learn to roadmap for your clients, give them estimations on how long things will take, update them regularly as the process goes. They get a text message, hey, just want to let you know that paper that we said needed to be filed by Friday, we actually got it filed a couple of days early for you. Now, maybe you planned on doing it today on Tuesday, but you told them so you can meet or exceed expectations, it'll be done by Friday what is that going to be, the 17th. And so I'm expecting Friday the 17th, and in my mind, I'm like, okay, and then on Tuesday the 14th, I get a text. So the way that you serve your client is a big point of differentiation. And the clients that you serve, again, being the person for a very unique situation that is a profitable and good client for anybody, there's really no better positioning that you can have. When you become the attorney for, high net worth people in, LA County, you're in a pretty good position in life, right? And so being able to find those people that you can serve, and the good thing about niching is you can expand your niche. You can say, I help this group of people. And then once you pretty much got that locked down, the systems, how they need to be treated, how they want to be treated, how the process goes for them, you can go and reduplicate that whole system and that whole process for an archetype that parallels that individual. I'll give just an illustration with what we're doing. We started off as the Legal Podcast Network. Why? I've worked with attorneys for 20-something years. I like attorneys. I'm very comfortable in that niche. But I've served other people. I've served insurance. I've served all kinds of primarily, professional industries. And so I started noticing not long after we started that people who had nothing to do with the legal industry started contacting us and saying, hey, I like what you're doing. How do I get to be a part of this? And eventually I started noticing, why is there a real estate agent in our feed of clients? Why is there a guy who helps parents with their kids to get them scholarships in baseball? Why does he have a podcast in my network? So I'm looking at these things and I'm going, wait a minute. There's a whole nother group of people that parallel who I serve. They want to be able to find the right clients. They want to be able to charge the right prices. They want to have authoritative positioning. They want to be different than their competitors. So why don't I provide an opportunity through the Authority Podcast Network? So that's an illustration of niching down doesn't mean that you have boxed yourself in growth and in who you're going to serve. It just means that you have a particular group of people that you serve very well and have systems specified for them. And then you can kind of mirror that and tweak based on the different parallel archetypes.
So what if someone says, I don't know what makes me different? What's the real issue there in your opinion?
I think when someone says, I don't know what makes me different, I think that there's a few issues. One, it could just be lack of confidence. And at the end of the day, I can't give anybody confidence. I've got some great people on my team. I try to pump them up all the time, tell them how awesome they are. But, it's still at the end of the day, confidence is something that you either have to have or cultivate. And so that individual who says, I don't, it might be confidence. It might be just they don't know, maybe, they've been a general practitioner. Maybe they've been in Nowheresville, Arkansas for the last 10 years. And they're like, you know what? I'm going to move to Fayetteville. I'm going to move to, another market that's bigger, more competitive. So I don't need to do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. So I can do a little bit of everything. Mm-hmm. That person, then I would say, if you are a generalist, you need to find the areas that you enjoy the most, because in my opinion, anybody that's a business owner should be working to the day where they feel like they're not working. And what I mean by that is they love what they do so much, it's not work. Right. It's literally just, I don't sleep at night and go, oh man, tomorrow I got to get up and do 3 podcasts and I've got to meet with I don't do that. I put my head on the pillow. I enjoy my sleep. I get up in the morning ready to hit the day. And so I would suggest, if you don't know what your points of differentiation are, take a moment and just say, what are the things I enjoy? Because if you enjoy it, chances are you're going to be good at it and you're going to desire to get better and better and better at it. So that would be what I would say to them is, if you don't quite know, either A, be confident, because a lot of times when somebody makes a statement like that, it doesn't take very long, 3, 5, maybe 7 questions, and you can pinpoint right away. So your point of differentiation is X, Y, or Z. Oh, you spent 27 years in the Arkansas court systems, and you've never lost a major trial. You've every person that you've worked with, you've either been able to get them significantly less time. Most of the court systems, even here in your new market. And so there's a lot of things that people don't think of as differentiators that you sit and talk to them. Like That's one of my favorite things when I would be talking to an attorney and he would say, or she would say something like that. I would just ask, I'd say, let me ask you a question. Tell me about the courthouses you go to. Oh, well, I go to this courthouse, and this courthouse. Are there different judges that you would want to be in front of for certain issues and say, oh, absolutely. There's one judge I never won on a Tuesday because Monday night they go bowling and they're an awful bowler and everybody knows on Tuesday they judge harshly. So I always find, and so that's your point of differentiation. Your knowledge of your marketplace or your knowledge of your jurisdiction and your court systems that you serve in. So there's a myriad of different things that can be if we just start to just kind of ask ourselves a few basic questions. But again, at the end of the day, if you are a generalist trying to become a specialist, I would say find the things you're most passionate about, you most enjoy, because what we're always trying to do is work until we don't have to work anymore. And I don't mean by physically, I mean emotionally, it's no longer labor.
So once someone has the basics down, what separates the top 1% when it comes to differentiation?
Relentless pursuit of better. I mean, I have not met one attorney that does well that I don't see trying new things, being good at things, taking things seriously. The attorneys that struggle are the ones that just kind of are flippant about things. They just, I got this, everything's just kind of like toss off. It's not worth it. It's not blah, blah, blah. I'm too important. I have a lot of, whatever. I have all this education, this background, blah, 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 blah. Those people are rarely in the top tier. Rarely. The people that make it to the top tier are hungry. They try new things, even when they have success. They hit $3 million in their practice in 3 years. They don't go, all right, that's it. I got a 25% net. I'll make $750 to the day I die. No, they're like, okay, let's get to 5. What is it going to take to get to 10? What is it going to take to get to 20? And so that's what I've really seen is they don't stop getting better. Their intake gets better. Their client journey gets better. Their marketing gets better. Their craft, they get better at their craft. Some people in the professional industry spend so much time getting better at their craft that it actually holds them back in every other area. They think if I'm great at my craft above all, that and to the exclusion of all, that I don't have to worry about clients, and it's just not true. This is business ownership. Running your own law firm is business ownership. Having your own brand is business ownership. And so you have to have several areas that you're always improving, whether you do it yourself or you get the right people in place and you work with them to make things better.
Good stuff. Well, that brings us to the lightning round, DM, and I expect some tomfoolery. I expect some shenanigans. I expect some ballyhoo, but there's a few things, if you guys don't know, you might get a true, you might get a false, you might get a fru, I believe.
There you go. Hey, that's better than explaining with context. I'm not allowed to do that, so you got to give me that little asterisk.
I agree. So the lightning round will be just true or false or fru, but just gut reactions as well. DM, are you ready, sir?
Let's go.
All right, here we go. True or false, differentiation just means niching down.
False.
True or false, a strong personal brand needs something flashy.
False.
Ooh. True or false, being good at what you do is enough to stand out.
I think we just talked about that. False.
True or false, clients choose based on credentials.
False.
And true or false,
some do. So
go.
False for. False for. False true. We got a new one. Mostly false, little true.
There we go. I told you. I see this some shenanigans. I told you. But listen, here we go. And true or false, most professionals actually know why people pick them.
False.
You
said most.
Yeah, not bad. Not bad. You got through that nice and clean right there, my brother.
Mostly. I had a false true, but other than that,
Good stuff, guys. This was great, and really appreciate you breaking down this in a way people can understand, nice and snackable, nice and understandable, DM.
Absolutely. Hey, everybody, thanks for watching, listening, whatever. I hope this helps. We set this up because we really believe that professionals who position themselves as authorities in their marketplace can demand the fees that they deserve and can work with the clients that they choose. And so that's what we're doing this whole thing for. We're seeing it happen for our clients, and we hope as you learn and you apply, you can take some of this and get closer to doing that as well.
Absolutely. And just like DM said, if you got value from this, make sure you're subscribed because this is part of a bigger system. Last episode, we talked about distribution, how to get seen. This episode is about differentiation, why someone chooses you. And the reality is, if you can't answer that clearly, nothing else works. If you want deeper breakdowns, templates, and monthly reports on topics just like this, join our email list. We have over 40,000 attorneys who are already on that list. And if you want help building your podcast and authority system, you can apply to work with us. We'll drop all those links in the video description just for you. I'm Evan Mack, and we'll see you on the next episode of The Authority Matters.